Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Yeonni, and for today's video, I want to talk about 5 myths, 5 myths about being in a PhD program. Being in one, applying to one, just myths about the PhD process. If this is your first time being on my channel and seeing this face, I'm currently a doctoral student working towards getting my PhD in psychology at a university here in New York City. And let's now jump straight into the video. Alright, let's get to business. First one, you have to be a genius to be in a PhD program. This is a misconception and myth that I also held myself. There's many factors that come together to form this kind of myth, and I think one of it is obviously like imposter syndrome. I felt inadequate no matter what my resume said, no matter how proud I might have been of my work experiences. Something about getting a PhD just felt like, oh, it's for other people, not me. I could never. But all that to say, you don't have to be a genius to be in a PhD program. I think the biggest factors that lead to, I've been in the program for a year and a half, so with the knowledge that I have currently and having spoken to my colleagues who have been in the program longer, spoken to faculty advisors, at the end of the day, you have to be smart about what you want and how you're going to get there. I think that is more important than being a genius. You could be a genius and really ride on the coattails of that and be a lazy person. And you cannot be lazy when you're in a PhD program. You have to be smart about the program that you're applying to, the faculty that you want to work with, the research that you want to do, and really be smart about your why. I think that is way more important than being a genius. The second myth is that being in a PhD program is lonely and isolating. No one will understand you. No, I would also say yes and no, but no, this is definitely a myth, because when you're in the PhD program, of course there's certain programs that only accept one student every year. I actually know a colleague who is the sole person in her cohort levels. She was the only one that was accepted that year. There's only one position and she got it. She's incredible. But at least from my experience, and like I said, from speaking to many people in the program, it really is what you make of it. Any experience can be isolating if you isolate yourself, right? So this process has really taught me the importance of asking for help and really prioritizing community. Community when it comes to learning, when it comes to understanding classes and doing research, but also community when it comes to social things, which I will get more into in a later on point. But yeah, so it is not completely lonely, it's not isolating. Community has been a beacon of light for me in my journey as a PhD student. The third myth that I've heard around is that, okay, once you get the PhD, you're going to be making bank. You're gonna be rich, raining money. And yeah, I would say this is a myth more so because it is such a generalization. You can get a PhD in so many different fields. Just type in PhD program and just think of if you went to undergrad, think of all the different majors that you had seen, and then think of each of those potentially having a PhD program. So it is such a wide generalization to the point that it is a myth, because it really depends. So for example, for my degree, when I become a psychologist, I could quote unquote make bank because I have more opportunities that are opened up to me, right? And I assume even with other fields and industries where you can get a PhD, dedicating your life to more hours and dedicating your money to more funding of your education, I do see it as an investment. And many times those investments can pay off through more open doors and opportunities for more revenue streams, right? With that said, as a psychologist, like I said, I could totally get my PhD and work in a hospital, 9 to 5, full-time job, that's it. And that would be amazing and fulfilling as itself. And yes, I would be making more money as a psychologist than I did as a social worker at the time when I was still practicing. However, with a PhD as a psychologist, I could not only work in a hospital, but I could also lecture at a university because I have my PhD. I could also do mentoring, and I could also, and on top of that, maybe I could do some consulting on the side for companies that need more DEI initiatives that need to be built up. So that's another way that I could make more money. And then I had one more thing in mind that also I could have my own private practice. That is a big thing about being a psychologist. That is a way to make bank. But I do this because I have a push and pull reaction when it comes to people saying that and like what does it mean to make bank, and like our capitalistic society, it's always a continuing dialogue and a point of reflection for me on my relationship with money and just our relationship with money. But all that to say, I completely forgot what this third point was anyway. Oh, you'll make a ton of money as a PhD. It depends is the answer. It's not always a yes. There's just more opportunities to make more money if you want that. Number 4, you have to become a professor and work in academia if you get a PhD. Just not true. Not true at all. I know many colleagues who are interested in solely working in academia. That's not the only option. You can get a PhD and work for a company. You can get a PhD and work for yourself in a private practice. You can get a PhD, work for a hospital or an institution. You can get a PhD and not do anything with it. It just opens up doors. You don't have to become an academic. I think for me personally, I see myself doing a little bit of everything. I'm so acutely aware of this privilege to be in this program and to get the education that I'm getting, that I really want to do everything I can in this one short lifetime that I have to support my communities. So I want to support clients and like the mental health of the community by being a psychologist working in a hospital or a community clinic, but I also want to maybe like adjunct lecture and be a part of universities so that I can be part of conversations about mental health equity and kind of keeping institutions accountable. You can't just say we're multicultural and social justice focused and, you know, infringe on like the security and resources of like not only people outside of your institution but within the institution, like your students. You know, so I like with the PhD comes a lot of power. People are listening to you. So I'm always brainstorming ways that I could use that privilege of power and people paying attention to me to, you know, enact positive changes and be a positive influence to the community, to institutions, to students who I cannot wait to become like a mentor to, an advisor to. And also being an Asian American woman working in the mental health field, representation and visibility is so important to me. So to have an Asian American like faculty member that other young Asian American students might be able to come and talk to, it is so important to me and I'm so passionate about it. So I'm gonna wear many hats. I know it won't make my life any easy or simple, but I know it'll be fulfilling. And last but not least, when you're in a PhD program, you only have time for the PhD program. That is a big fat myth. That is not true. Okay, first of all, always I like benefit of the doubt, devil's advocate. You could make it your entire life, of course. If that is what you want to do, I'm not here to judge anybody. You do you. But I know that for me and many of my colleagues and friends, if we make the PhD program the only part of our identity and the only thing we do throughout the week, like genuinely, I would not be able to obtain my PhD and become a psychologist because I would burn out. Burnout is a huge factor of being in a PhD program, and I'm already feeling it. But if anything, it's like a roller coaster, what I've heard. So year 1 is like a really big high because you're in the program, you're excited, Year 2 is really stressful because you're getting through like the rest of your classes, you start clinical work. I'm working with therapy clients every week. I'm also doing cognitive assessment, so that's a lot. On top of that, you're still doing research, which is a lot, and you're also TAing to pay for rent. So if I had just prioritized being a PhD student and that was it, I would not have been able to get through this year. Let's just say that. Y'all already know, either because I update you here and there or bleed out my sadness on my Instagram stories, I've been going through it personally, okay? And there were moments where in the PhD program process, like last semester, oh my god, if I did not have my community, so the community comes back in, if I didn't have my community, if I didn't have my friends outside of my PhD program, if I didn't have hobbies and things I like to do outside of the program, I don't think I would have had the strength to get through the program. How many times can I say the word program? But you know what I mean. When you are in a PhD program, I believe, I won't say you have to or need to because it's up to you. I believe it is so important to have a balance of who you are outside of this program And that just brings up another thought for me. Another huge reason why your PhD journey and program cannot be your entire identity is because this process makes you question yourself all the time. You are, first of all, in an institution that is like prestigious. And yes, it is. If anyone from Columbia is watching, I'm so grateful to be here. But you know, like, it's a very prestigious institution with very brilliant, like genius-like people that you work with, whether they're faculty or even your own colleagues. When you are not in the right headspace, it is so easy to compare, to feel burnt out, to feel that imposter syndrome and be like, do I belong here? Like, am I brilliant enough? Like, what do I bring that is different and unique? And all of those thoughts I experienced at multiple points throughout this year. And what really pulled me out, instead of, you know, going into the dark circle and being sad and depressed, was realizing that my worth is so much more than being in a PhD program. My worth and who I am as an individual and person cannot be just packaged up into a relationship, right? Or a PhD program and my career. I mean, just from my own experience, because I'm an N of 1 when it comes to my own experience, having a balance of PhD and also everything else around me has literally allowed me to get through, truly. So with that said, I hope any of the things that I said today were helpful to you in any way. I am profoundly grateful and feeling very, very blessed to be in the position that I am, no matter what's going on in my personal life, or the imposter syndrome. I never said it's easy, right? It's not easy, but it definitely is worthwhile. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. Please leave any comments for me down below if you have any questions about anything that I might have mentioned. I hope you're taking care of yourselves, really, emotionally, physically, mentally. And I will see you in the very next video. Bye.